Hi, Suzanne.
Yes, so wonderful. So I think we are reconnected. We are back on stage, Mark, and it's a pleasure to have you and welcome you to our conference, Fintech Solutions for SMEs and for small businesses. And of course, you are an expert in how really every business should have freelancers, and why every SMB should employ them and how to make it work in practice. So I would love to hand over now to you, Mark, to introduce yourself and tell us how ConXhub can support small businesses.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne, and welcome everybody. I'm delighted to be here. So I'm Mark Trowbridge, as Suzanne mentioned. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm currently running one of the most exciting communication companies on the planet, and that's called ConXhub. Um, I wanted to talk about freelancing, and ConXhub actually has nothing to do with freelancing, except I wanted to give something back to small businesses. And freelancing is very passionate to me in that we utilize freelancing within our own business. So I wanted to just basically implore every small business and startup to seriously consider employing freelancers. And I've got no economic reason to promote freelancers, but as I've mentioned, I just love giving back to businesses. And if you look through my career, I've got a whole career of giving back to SMBs and small businesses, and I just love watching small businesses grow and survive. So this is going to be based on my own experience. So the freelance world is healthy and growing, and I was staggered when I actually looked through the statistics that there's now nearly 50% of the workforce in the UK is actually freelancing, and what we're actually seeing is a lot of people coming out of full-time employment to go into freelancing. So I'm not going to concentrate on why people freelance. There are plenty of sites on Google for that. But freelancers are no longer a desperate bunch of people spamming every company for work. They're actually a serious component of industry. They're made up of top individuals in their fields. So I view freelancers as professionals with skills and experience to match. There's a massive talent pool in the UK alone. But the world has changed, and what we've found and what you'll find is that through communications, the internet, email, various talent websites, and software, this has all made it way more accessible to employ consultants from absolutely anywhere in the world. So the world is your oyster. Here's a snapshot of a conference we held back in November. And here's a few of our team that we managed to get together during COVID lockdowns and all the aspects of that. But it was great to finally meet people that we've had in our employ, sometimes for quite a few years. So in fact, it was the first time we'd met quite a few of our freelancers, and it was just an awesome long weekend that we had. So basically, we as a company, we now employ freelancers from the UK, from Ireland, from Spain, from Estonia, from Thailand, from Canada, from the USA, from the Philippines, from Colombia, Argentina, South Africa, and even Kenya. And we're actually going to be taking on even more staff during 2022 and beyond. So before you suddenly think, hang on a minute, this isn't for me, I'm way too small. We were only a few small years ago, we were only 3 people in our business. And taking on freelancers completely changed our business model. And I was thinking, when I was putting this presentation together, I was thinking back through my business career and thinking about freelancers. And it just dawned on me that my very first business, we actually employed freelancers. We employed 3 retired gentlemen to work in our post room. So back in the 1980s, I mean, I don't look that old, but yeah, I did have a business in the 1980s. So back then we used to rely on mail. We didn't have email, so we relied on mail, the postal service, and we employed 3 gentlemen to basically stuff envelopes. And it was amazing because they actually loved coming in. They came in on a Tuesday and a Thursday. They loved working with us, and it basically gave them a sense of purpose in their retirement, and they had a lot of fun. In fact, one of them actually said to me one day, Mark, you didn't actually have to pay us, because we have so much fun and we feel so valued coming here, that payment wasn't needed. But basically, they were probably my first freelancers. We didn't call them freelancers then, but they were our first, let's say, run into using freelancers, and it was a really special moment for us in our business. Helped us a lot and helped them. And the value of inclusion is really important. I'm going to touch on that a little bit further on in the presentation. So you're never too small. And I'd like to actually turn that around slightly and look at it is, can you actually afford not to hire freelancers? And this is a very important part of your business. And it dawned on me even more in recent times when I was actually doing some things that I shouldn't have been doing. So you know how there are so many parts to business, and some things you're really, really good at and some things you're not so good at. In fact, people that know me will say, Mark, you're bad at everything. But there are certain things you're not good at, or even certain things you don't like. So when we look at the utilization of freelancers, I like to look at this as a simple maths equation. And I look at this in terms of value cost. So here's a very quick example, just a very simple equation that I use to show you how it's really invaluable using freelancers. So if you took my value cost, if you took my hourly value, let's just put a figure on that, let's say £50 an hour. Bookkeeping was my pet hate. Bookkeeping and VAT reconciliation. I'm sure there's many of you in the room that would agree with that. But again, it could be anything. It could be website design. It could be marketing. It could be selling. But in my case, end of month bookkeeping and VAT reconciliation, absolutely appalling. Hated it. Still do. Please do not give me back that job. So basically, very simple maths. If I evaluated my time at £50 per hour, that used to take me 3 days to do that end of month project. And I know some of you are a bit aghast at the amount of time, but if you think of it logically, if you're doing something you don't like, you're going to procrastinate over it. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have to rectify those mistakes before you move forward. And this whole chore, and it was a chore to me, was just taking ages for me to do. So very simple maths, £50, 7 hours in a day, multiplied by 3 days, gave us a value cost of over £1,000. Now, if you compare that to a freelancer, top value freelancer, £20 per hour, that freelancer is actually going to do and does the bookkeeping in less than a day. And the reason for that is that they know what they're doing. They enjoy doing what they're doing, and they can do it very, very quickly. So if you then compare that 20 hours, 1 day, 7 hours, £140 in terms of cost, that's a saving to the business of over £900. Now that's huge. But there's another aspect to this. So the 3 days that I was taking up doing that horrible job of bookkeeping, sorry, it's not horrible to a lot of people I know, but that horrible job to me of bookkeeping, those 3 days I could actually better spend doing jobs that I actually liked and was good at, and enhance the business even further. So there's a double whammy to me taking up that time doing things that I didn't want to do. So freelancers can free your time and give you back that valuable aspect of time. So when we actually look at why we employ freelancers, and of course, we as a company do employ a lot of freelancers, they're invaluable to us. So my top three, and there are many reasons for employing freelancers, but my top three are lower costs. They're masters of what they do. And you've already heard how somebody that understands bookkeeping can do it a lot quicker than somebody that doesn't. And they bring their A game every single time. So these are the three top things that I consider to be the most important things for me as to why employing freelancers. When we look at costs, whilst you may look at an hourly rate of a freelancer being way more than a full-time employee, the actual aspect is you're only employing that freelancer for a very specific amount of time to do a very specific job. So the actual cost is way, way lower than a full-time employee. You also don't have the aspect of ancillary costs and training, and you have limited management. You don't have to manage these people. And that moves on to the second aspect, which is they are masters. They're masters at what they do. That's the reason you're employing them, because they know exactly what they're doing and they can do it succinctly and fast. And here's a top tip for you. When you're looking for, we're going in a minute to look at how to hire, but when you're looking for a freelancer, get to understand what their passion is, what they love to do, what they're excited about, what they get up in the morning for. Because once you've understood that, then you can better align the project or task or business that needs doing with the right person. So moved on one. I'm bringing the A game. This is incredible. To me, it's the top one. Any freelancer we've ever employed is literally day in, day out, bringing their A game to the company. They are absolutely passionate about making sure they complete work to our complete satisfaction. They want to be re-employed. They want to be part of the organization. So bringing their A game every single day, absolutely top reason to take on freelancers. So I wanted to give you a few examples of where we have employed freelancers, and we have numerous freelancers in our organization. But I'll give you a few examples which might help you to understand where freelancers can fit in. So I'll start with Rob. Rob is based in the Philippines. He's been with us now probably nearly 2 years. Just an awesome individual. We use him for writing. He's the most highly skilled copywriter you could imagine. He's unbelievable at delivering copy. He writes most of our blog posts. He writes our articles. He's writing content for landing pages, for publicity, whatever it is, anything to do with writing. Rob is the first port of call for us. Amazing individual, and we're just so lucky to have him on board within the company. The next person I wanted to mention is a chap called Paul. Paul's a graphic designer. He originally came from Bangladesh. Again, top graphic designer. He started by giving us a few images for our website, and then we just took him on board full time, and we basically have him doing anything where we require an image. He's the go-to guy for that, literally anything. So complete imagery on the website, landing pages, banner adverts, anything that requires an image. The whole company just contacts Paul, and he'll do it. He's an absolute top dog individual designer. What's been amazing for us is that when we committed to his freelance contract, let's say we put him under contract to us month in, month out, that's actually given him the power to move. He's actually been able to move to the USA, and that for me has been amazing, just to be able to assist somebody to grow in that manner is just awesome. And one of our latest freelancers that we've taken was a young man called Corey, just out of college. So he's a brilliant website engineer. Now, we've had, myself included, we've got a lot of skills in terms of website design. We don't lack anything there. We've been able to design, our websites and landing pages all the way through. But we came across a situation a few months ago where our page speeds were too slow as far as Google was concerned. We had issues. We had technical issues in terms of our website. And so we started to look around the freelance community to find a web developer, and we came across Corey. And I'll be honest, we just haven't looked back. Corey's taken our very poor page speed response in Google from poor to great to nearly awesome, and we just couldn't do it without him. So he's now again, it was a short-term commitment, but we're so happy with Corey that we're now engaging him full term, and we are in fact looking to increase his earnings from us as well. So there's some sort of long-term, medium-term, long-term freelance positions that we've engaged. But I want to talk to you about Mark from Canada. So I'm a SQL Server programmer, and I was working on a particular query for a client for a report, and I was really struggling. I mean, seriously struggling to get this query sorted, to the point where I just couldn't do it. I was taking a day trying to figure out how to do it, and I was putting it off for a couple of days, going back to it another day, putting it off, going back to it, and basically just wasn't able to get this query sorted. And again, we went through the freelance community, and we found Mark in Canada, and we engaged him. We gave him all the information he needed, and 3 hours later, that query was complete, and it was live, and the report that we needed for the client was live, and they were just over the moon with it. And it just shows you how, again, my time was being spent in terms of wasted time, whereas I could have used an expert. And again, Mark is now, if anybody in the company has an issue with our SQL Server issues, we're straight on to Mark and engaging him. And that's short-term contracts. We pay for that amount of time that he delivers that particular contract. So there's some examples of how we use some of the freelance community within our own organization, and I hope that's given you some insights in how you might be able to utilize the freelance community. So very quickly, top 5 basic steps on how to hire. Decide what you need doing, and it's really, really important you're succinct about that. And the best way of being succinct is to write it down and be very, very specific. If you can't portray what you need, then the freelance world won't know how to solve your problem. So make sure you know what you're trying to solve and put that out there. The next is to go onto the web and search, review, post any of the freelance talent sites and look for the talent that you need. And then number 3, respond to replies. Now, respond to all replies, even if it's people that you think don't match your criteria, still respond to them. You may come across them again, but it's just nice to do. It's just the right thing to do. Create a short list based on your criteria. And then again, using the sites, you can check for previous work. You can check on their availability and their capabilities. And depending on the role, if it's a very quick short-term role, then just engage and employ. But if it's something where you think they're going to be working with you for a longer period of time, then I'd make a phone call. I would actually suggest you call them and you check that there's synergy between you and them. I think that's a really important thing. And remember, when you're in that phone call, remember that top tip about asking what their passion is. Make sure that their passion is mirrored to what you're looking for. And then very simply, just agree terms and start. It's as simple as that. And here's some of the sites you can use. Some of them you're probably aware of already. Some of them you've probably already used. Fiverr we typically use for just a very quick one-off bit of aspect work. Upwork, fun enough, nigh on 2 years ago, we found we had some development work we needed doing, and we found a young man called Anton, and he's now fully employed by us. And he's actually an employee, no longer a freelancer. And again, that's quite interesting because there may be times, and we have offered long-term projects to freelancers, and they've turned us down. So don't be upset by that, or don't be surprised. So a lot of the freelance community likes working for multiple different companies, and they just like that aspect of having the freedom and different challenges. So don't be surprised if some of them actually turn around and say, actually, I'm not interested in working for you full time, but if you've got any one-off projects, then come back to me. So here's a top tip, and it's something that I, is I'm very passionate about. It's very close to my heart. Every single freelancer should be treated just like a full-time team member. It doesn't matter how small the project, but I believe that you should respect everyone. You should include them in all aspects of your business. They should know what's going on. They should be au fait with other members of the company, and you should reward them. So treat every freelancer like a full-time team member. And just remember this is a fact, the cream always comes to the top. And what's really, really fascinating now is that there is a huge number of highly talented individuals in the world of freelancing, and you can't dismiss that. There's a lot of people that come out of high-end business and have gone into freelancing by personal choice. So the cream is actually in the freelancing world, or there is a lot of cream in the freelancing world. So I'm going to end now. I'm sorry that's been rushed. 20 minutes isn't very long to put across this, and this is a huge subject. But I hope that's given you some inclination into the freelancing world, and I hope it's been useful to you. I'm going to be available for Q&A on the ConXhub table after this meeting. But thank you for listening.
Wonderful, Mark. Fantastic. I think it's so great. I think the way you outlined the logic, and I very much empathize with you not liking accounting work, to do myself. And I think you're totally right. We need to outsource to the experts who do the job better than we do, and can do it better and cheaper, and free ourselves up to do things we can do better. So 100% agree with your approach. And it's excellent that you really explained it to us also how to access freelancers. And of course, I recommend them all to check out ConXhub afterwards, to come to your booth.
Thank you, Suzanne.
On your website, because they offer what you offer with mobile phones as well and services, to teams growing their businesses is excellent. So thanks, Mark, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And now what I would love to do is to invite you to focus on responsible fintech. It's the first co-production between ITN and Fintech Circle, which basically will be shown now in a second for you. It's an 8-minute video which went live in December and shows you basically what responsible fintech is all about. And so I will ask Glenn to turn on the video and share it with all of you. And this video is a co-production with ITN Studios and
Showcase of Responsible Fintech, a program by Fintech Circle and ITN Productions.
Fintech is a growing sector of entrepreneurs and startups with the power to change the world. For increasingly, it's not just about how to maximize profits, but how individuals and companies can make a real difference.
ESG has become a key focus. The environmental criteria, which have been discussed heavily during the United Nations Climate Change Summit, COP26. And those goals are how can companies become a steward of nature? Number 2, it's about social criteria. How can companies work with suppliers, their clients, their employees in a better, more sustainable way? And thirdly, it's about governance, about leadership, about social inclusion and diversity.
And responsible fintech requires this responsible leadership as pressure grows for more ethical investment.
Europe alone last year had 505 green funds being launched. From a customer point of view, 1 in 3 customers in the UK alone have now decided to switch to green financial services. From an employee's point of view, 60% of the global millennials and the Gen Zs have stated that they will only work for a company that clearly states how positively they are impacting the environment and the societies that they operate in.
I think it's all about the conversation, and of course when investors are viewing possibilities and opportunities, this dimension of green hasn't always been at the forefront, but to say that actually I'm going to put my money into something that is actually having a better impact on the environment is a bold move, and I think we need more investors to be bold.
New open banking platforms also offer opportunities to derive more value from financial data, as well as the possibility to track our carbon footprint.
From a carbon perspective, being able to get from what we call SKU level, the actual itemized carbon impact of each thing you buy, all the way through the supply chain, from the manufacturer to the supermarket to whoever's delivering what we call scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, like the upstream and downstream, all the way to the mobile app, so that consumers and businesses can make better decisions from a carbon emission perspective.
Open banking is already transforming the world of finance for consumers, businesses, and institutions, providing low-cost, safe, and easy real-time payments.
Our future is being part of a world where open banking is probably not even talked about, because that's just the way people make their payments. They'll expect to make a payment from their bank account to their business, the businesses they're dealing with. They'll expect it to happen in real time, and they'll expect to look on their account and say, yeah, that's the payment I made just now.
We're working with a technology systems company in the energy market. So at the moment, some people, they may be on prepayment meters, and they actually pay the most for their energy, and sadly there's often the people that are on lower incomes. So open banking gives a real inclusivity solution, because using open banking makes prepayment meters even cheaper than direct debit.
Simplifying wholesale transactions opens up opportunities for streamlining processes to reduce risk, but also has the potential to make markets more sustainable.
There's been a lot of research in this space by the G20 over the last couple of years. The Financial Stability Board have pulled together a plan, a call to arms, if you like, to modernise, improve and de-risk the cross-border system, let's say. And RTGS Global, we're looking at bringing a solution to the market that we think enables all of those risks to go away.
So it's an online web application that allows treasury functions of the bank to actually interact with the network, and they can actually see where liquidity resides across the globe, and they can interact with those other banks.
Cryptocurrencies, as well as the apps which support them, are also expanding. And for many of us, they're an alternative way to control and invest our money.
Often we lose sight of the fact that when we just put our money in a bank or in an investment fund, we don't really know what it's doing, we don't really know how it's performing, and sometimes it's not performing at all. Whereas being able to use our platform and see your money grow, I think is a really empowering, and it can be life-changing for some people. Green cryptocurrency is obviously important. We all realise that the impact we have on our environment is, front and centre in everything we look at in all walks of life today, and cryptocurrency shouldn't be any different.
Innovative cloud-based quoting management software is helping to improve business efficiency and accuracy.
We help companies increase efficiency, increase professionalism, and improve profits by just doing quoting better. So they can respond quicker to customer requests, inquiries for quotation. They can present their brand in a good way, and that way they kind of grow the business.
It keeps that history. It keeps that dialogue there with the customer. We can see what they've accepted, what they've turned down. It doesn't ever disappear. It allows the customer to then take a look at something that maybe happened 6 months ago, come back to us and say, right, I've now got the budget to do that. Let's move on. With Quote on Site, we can look and say, well, it's given us our margin analysis. It's seeing who's spending what money where. It's given us a clearer view of the forthcoming business.
Wider data analytics can also help give customers a better, fairer and cheaper service when it comes to car insurance. Here, a fully digital service, an app and 24/7 live chat helps to manage the journey from quote to purchase and, if necessary, a claim. But the technology does more. It aims to promote better and safer driving with warnings of adverse weather conditions and traffic or accident hotspots. Just like fintech shook up the banking industry with a digital revolution, this technology is leading the way in insurtech. And when drivers join, they get a carbon offset for the first 500 miles of driving, helping to better protect the environment. One way to build stronger, more diverse communities is to support their financial institutions. And by offering a single platform that unifies a lender's technology, it can be a seamless end-to-end experience for borrowers and lenders alike.
I think the most exciting area of the space that we work in, the most innovative, the most energised area is the alternative finance space. And that's where we find our solution fits particularly well, is received particularly well, and it's an area that's been quite dynamic over the last 2 or 3 years.
We look to align with customers who actually align with our own mission, which is about building stronger and more diverse communities by strengthening their financial institutions. And in fact, in the fintech space, we work with a number of customers who are actually innovating on traditional finance and helping people get access to credit who wouldn't normally, or those that feel underbanked.
From greater social inclusivity to more options for greener finance, responsible fintech is playing its part in creating a more sustainable future.
Thank you for watching Responsible Fintech. All of our reports are available to view on the Fintech Circle website. The details are on the screen now. From me and the team here, thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoy the rest of Fintech Connect.
Wonderful. So this was our first or second film, I should say, because last year we did the first film with ITN Productions, which was called The Future of Fintech. And this year it's all about responsible fintech. So I hope you enjoyed it. But if you go to our fintechcircle.com website, you can watch the whole 1 hour documentary in addition to watching last year's documentary as well. So they're both available on our fintechcircle.com website as well. So now we're moving to our panel discussion of today. So again, I will see you in a few seconds when we get joined with 3 entrepreneurs and also to really talk about fintech applications in practice. So see you in a second in our next panel discussion.